Looking for more fun for your children? Get more meaningful every day. It's about the history of the book.
We wanted to be a mother, and so get there, that's what we were.
Finding help and building a forever family. And Goshen gets this new movie set brings, we'll go behind the scenes. 14-year-old Joseph Smith. Stage was set for the eventuation of the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon has been translated with more than 150. Church historian Richard, some lesser-known facts. Mormon, good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
So we're going to talk about today the first thing about the golden plates. Tell us.
People visualize the golden plates as being like an English book, stacked up like pages and side.
Right.
And myth tells us that the read like Hebrew from right meant that instead of the pages being from right to left, on the right with the page to right, which means that Joseph Smith would have seen the rings instead of being on the left.
Okay. Now, I understand the book was translated. It was Amber?
Yes. After the loss of the 116 with computers learned, and that is up. So he had all the backup copy, and that went into the print shop of Myra, New York. And in order to get it published, one of which was a man, and that man really punctuated pages of the Oliver Cowdery and others proofread as typesetter John Gilpin, the paragraphing. And
do we know if there were a lot of...
There were some changes, comparisons done between the owner's manuscript and see what mistakes were made in that.
I didn't know that tabloid knew back into the early 1800s with a tabloid newspaper.
Yes, in Palmyra, the reflector. It's the kind of day would be sold next to the store. It was a rumor sheet. It was published in the same Mormon. The editor, as he was today, saw the sheets of it not yet bound. And this is Joe Smith's Gold Bible issue of his News 29. He printed a little Bible next week. Issue for 1830, he had from the Book of Mormon, Reign and Ministry, Chapter 1, Parents, and so forth. He pirated in his tabloid.
Did anything that, or do we have copies of that?
But as it turned out, Oliver were seeing the print process. Harmony, Pennsylvania, know about it. To him, let him know that he had been desisted.
How is today's Book of Mormon?
The original Book of Mormon, and it had very little not numbered. The chapters, the smaller chapters by Orson, took these chapters and which he numbered. So we did chapters and small verses in Pratt's 1879.
How long those verses would have...
There was one edition that was 8 pages, difficult for people to cite that.
Whatever happened to the original?
The original manuscript of the Book of Joseph Smith. And when he was in Nauvoo, he compared the original manuscript so that he could errors that had entered into. After he had done that, he felt, well, this made a responsibility to hang on to where he got the gold plates. He thought, what am I going to do? I'll put it back in a stone. Nauvoo, a church hotel was Nauvoo House. So when he left his home, he went to a house where this cornerstone put a number of documents, including the Book of Mormon, into the house.
Seems safe enough, right?
It was closed up in 1841. I saw it. He died in Emma Smith died in 18. Smith's second husband was part of the hotel. The building was never finished. On the southeast corner, he script. Unfortunately, or flooding along the Mississippi, rain that had seeped in had been moistened, and he took out the pieces, and over the course of the next as souvenirs by his home.
Of that, do you have?
We have of the surviving manuscript history library.
Very interesting. Much for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
Recently co-authored a book called Mormon. We're giving away 2 Facebook page. If you'd like a Facebook page at Mormon Time, the Book of Mormon is important. Speaking of the book, come to life in your home. Study ideas that will help you. And a live permaker. The inspirational vibrant tune for us today, CD. Speaking of women in Zimbabwe, I met this video and wanted to show church members saw these women in their mud huts and offered them to see they were so happy for sending that in. It's 20,000 children are adopted every year. One family, their 4 children, and say home, they will always be.
Hi, my name is
Dave Young, and this is our story. After years, we started trying to have kids that we either needed to do and be children. I just really, whatever path I needed to take to get and take. And so we adoption bandwagon and decided to.
When I first been able to have our own Bible, at first I was mission and didn't know.
We went through LDS Family Serving in Salt Lake, do additional paperwork and paperwork. Maddie was actually the day that we got approved.
To be father, I was going through, I was scared, just elated at thing, but also a responsibility of being a father.
What I felt when I first told she was our first was, and with an adoption, that's your happiest child in your arms, but you know that this is sad. It was in my arms, and so it was undescribable.
After Maddie, years later, we were living in, and Jordan was born.
Sold when we got the call to birth, so he's our.
We got a phone, Cooper's birth mom child, and down here in Utah, and we'd be willing to have her join. We cannot imagine with Sarah.
Yay! African American children has actually really been great. We would love for our children to skin, but most likely in the black world, whereas here in Utah there's a whole families where they're going to be the exact same situation they're in.
The experience of children seals us in the time means we're just like any other. Heaven has given us not quite children join families. Your own children are hired to have your own but I don't think in eternity it really makes sense. They're our Father. We've been given the responsibility to raise them and to teach, and I can't imagine other children.
We're the young family.
The young 16-year-old Jamie Whitsitt died several years ago. Serve a mission. Up next time, the best or above. Make your study time scriptures to life for your children, teaching more effectively. Jesus walked. It's a holy year in Utah.
Elder David A. Bednar, that he believes that this generation is more likely, and the words of the living prophets find answers to the problems than any other.
Find answers and strength in the familiar with them first. So scriptorian, for I psyched about the scriptures.
They love, but do those Book of Mormon sink in? Parents and kids to read the scripture challenge.
Yeah, simply running around. The times you're really tired.
So to skip the excuse.
Important thing is
Longtime Seminary Dennis Gaunt.
if you're quoting Nephi, maybe try and act it out. Anything that you can do like that to the scriptures.
I'm thinking for Lehi, you know, from Lord of the Rings, and Nephi, Commander.
You don't have for them. You can simply help them or to help them understand familiar, but that involving as much as possible.
And read scriptures on our few verses.
Some of their kids were, but they'll repeat the word for word maybe, or
Nothing wrong with using a little bit of appropriate as you're discussing in the Book of Mormon, and made really bad choices. In Noah, for instance, to King Noah the Hut. Yeah, I called her of evil because
He says the real difference lessons learned or scriptures and apply. And when it comes to young people,
you don't have to sneak up on them. They are smart. They are mature. This generation especially.
ready to learn. No.
I like them. They teach good lessons.
I'm Brooke Walker.
Brooke, Dennis Gaunt's shoe book. It's called Bad Guy. It's available at Deseret. Church has begun filming a major New Testament. The casting in the Holy Land, but right here in Utah. Sam scenes on the property.
So we have various alleys and streets that depict the ancient Jerusalem.
John, as this farm property has transformed during the time of Christ. Executive producer of the LDN Film Project.
Presents Jerusalem. Our construct plywood layers, foam applied to the then many layers of then paint.
The 2 football fields and allow more than 50 accounts told the art historical research, the Holy Land.
So we could play it as an or make it dark and a structure or building. It's one of those spaces, this yard where Nicodemus night, and it could also.
With the movie set here in the Ghost, it also has a lot of natural characteristics. This, for example, of Gethsemane. Samaritan was shot last year. Digital of a palm tree. Effects will be frequently used.
Some of the things are, there's just no way we could, being the temple itself, fairly supplied with visual effects.
Are already underway for animal actors of camels and horses.
Anglers are actually working for the scene where we're tending their flocks. We're training the sheep, and they're out here every day getting them ready for the
full-length movie, but will be used in future.
Every time I come out here, I'm overwhelmed. Joy and happiness, action that we're doing something, and I know that we'll supply it wood.
And helping to bring 2,000 years later for Mormon time.
Thank you, Sam. The act has been cast for the production. Footage from the New Testament productions sometime next midnight at Dodger Stadium. L. Cook, a member of the court, throughout the first pitch. By the way, over 4,000, it's a tradition to go. Up number takes center stage. Baker will share a song. But first, here's a look at the field. And if you have a pic share, please send it to .com. And this young boy certainly is him. Despite his disability and helps us all effective, these pictures were, if you have video or pictures that please share them with ASL.com. We are so happy to have the acclaimed class So Many Lives with her music. That was so beautiful. Jenny from Juilliard School in New York, Pearl Awards for her. But Jenny has something her new CD called Winning Jenny.
Good morning.
So this is all Disney music. How did
I have 4 children and since the last 10 years. And I've just fallen in the message and magical about Disney.
How did you ask? I know you worked with him on this.
And asked him if he brought the project, and he really put a ranging of each of these tunes.
4 beautiful children, 3 girls.
They are. Our daughters, and each violinist is 10, and my cellist is 6. And he would be a violinist, but he violin one day and said, "I'm a pianoist." He's either pianoisting in the something. We'll figure it out.
That is making them practice or do anything.
I struggle.
Was that hard for you as well?
I still hate practicing.
Do you?
I love performing, and so
This is so different. Was this just having more fun, or what?
Movie album as well. Silver. This one is a little more magical. Silver Screen's more epic. It's so much fun, and I'm just.
Did you know you always wanted to play the violin?
I did. I started when I was 4. Loved the stage.
Well, it's for being with us. Well, Jenny's Education Week, August, but we get to hear from her today by listening to her from Pocahontas, a star. Thanks so much for. And now here's Jenny.